Now, this idea originally comes from a Reddit post from a while ago. Could Pickle survive the roster of fictional jungles of hell on from different franchises? So, Pickle, the prehistoric dinosaur hunting caveman of Baki, and also the namesake of my channel. What if we dropped him onto the Skull Island of Peter Jackson's King Kong from 2005? I'll be using Jackson's rather than other variants, since I just think Jackson's is a more well-constructed and thought-out ecosystem. So Pickle's goal will be to thrive in this environment, and if you can't do that, at least try and survive. And spoiler alert, but this is perfect timing because, and as of the most recent chapters in Baki Rahen, but Pickle finally spoke for the first time ever. So this is a momentous occasion in Baki, and I'm so happy for it. So that's why I'm making this video partially, and also because I think it's a fun concept. Concerning copyright and all the music, images, and characters, I'll be including links to all the music I use in my videos in the description, since many have been asking, and it's just easier that way, in my opinion. Now, the first animals Pickle will encounter when arriving on the island are probably the smaller shoreline scavengers on the crumbling coast. Small fish eaters like Parasaudon and bird eaters like a dragon skin monitor lizard. As Pickle is a powerhouse, these animals would not even interest him. They would just kind of run away from him. A bit larger predators, however, might interest him. Things like Aerodactylus, Nefundosaurus, and Photodon. They might serve as like a Pickle's first source of food, as they'd be big enough for him to like consider playthings / food. The only animal I might see giving Pickle trouble on this coast is Tartarosaurus, the biggest predator on this side of the island. Though Pickle will probably win, as he has thrown around cars without any effort or problem, and overpowered this tiny mech suit. And his physical strength also exceeded Yujiro Hanma, the strongest creature in the world, during their little brofist clash. I guess to see him suffering maybe a bad bite, as the Tartarosaurus is extremely tough in its own right, but Pickle will probably still win. As Pickle would leave the shoreline, he would make his way inwards through the jungle and into the shrinking lowlands. Now, the lowlands at the center of the island is where I think Pickle would want to spend the majority of his time. Fodder prey for Pickle that might not give him of a thrill, but at least keep him from going hungry would be things like frog-looking Hadrosaur Ligocristus. But this is also where the largest animals on the island resided. Skull Island only had one giant sauropod, that being Brontosaurus baxteri. Pickle's strong enough to lift the foot of a 33-ton Superosaurus, trying to crush him by stepping on him. But coming in at 80 to 120 feet and weighing between 70 and 100 tons, Skull Island's Brontosaurus is way bigger than anything Pickle's ever faced. And I'm not sure Pickle could take them down, at least considering that they're herd animals who sometimes work together to defend each other. I think that might be biting off a bit more than he could chew. Maybe if he managed to get a chokehold around one of their necks, but then again, they are unnaturally fast and agile for their size, so as we see in the movie, so I'm not sure. In the same scene where the Brontosaurus appear, we also meet the Venatosaurus cividicus, a giant bull terrier-like dromaeosaur between 16 and 24 feet long and weighing a metric ton. Not only were they huge raptors, but they were also smart pack hunters, being able to flush herds of brontosaurs to the Great Ravine in order to take down even healthy adults, which is something even V-Rex couldn't do. They also had great night vision and were very quick. But Pickle is also insanely fast in his own right. He has moved faster than the eye can see on several occasions, moving so fast Jack Hanma failed to even perceive it. Dodging gunfire as well, and if we somehow can't dodge an attack, his muscle tissue is also so dense and tough enough to block small arms fire. His bones are effectively described as unbreakable, even by the likes of Musashi Miyamoto, who cuts trucks. As for intelligence, he isn't dumb per se, Definitely smarter than Vanatosaurus. More so, he's just a simple fighter. Smarter than the Vanatosaurus, but he doesn't strategize really. He mostly just tries to overpower his opponent, which usually works more times than not. Another dinosaur I, however, think would serve as perfect opponent for Pickle is Feructoceratops. Pickle has a shoulder thrown of fully grown Triceratops, around 6 to 10 tons, over his head. But at 9 to 16 tons, Feructos is even bigger. Combined with their bulkier, more muscular build and heightened aggressiveness, they would likely prove more of a challenge than the Trike, at least. As an adult bull, Feructos was one of the 3 species on the island that could beat a V-Rex. As for Vastatosaurus rex, it was the largest theropod on Skull Island, and it was its apex predator. At 50 feet long and almost 20 tons, it's in a class of its own. It was like a T-Rex on steroids. Bigger, bulkier, faster, and more agile. Compared to T-Rex, the snout was shorter and thicker, like comparing a wolf to a pit bull. Together with its more compact build and osteoderm armored backs for extra defense, it's clear that a sign that the V-Rex was just built for brawling. And what's more is these were social animals, living in families as we've seen in the movie. Standing at 2 meters tall and weighing 300 pounds, Pickle is a fraction of their size. But that has never been a problem before. His most notable attribute is, of course, his physical strength, as he hunted T-Rexes by wrestling them to the ground and even prying open their vice-like jaws. I think Vastatosaurus, especially as a strong buck in its prime, would be the perfect opponent for Pickle he was searching for on the island. While I think the lowlands are where Pickle would fit in the best, the swamp is still a good option, and Pickle would easily find the way to it. Malamagnus, more or less a dinosaur hippo, at 20 feet long, would serve a good prey. They mostly wouldn't put up a fight, but he could still eat them. One creature I think would be very dangerous for Pickle to encounter is Pteranodon. Not only is it the biggest carnivorous fish on the island at 50 feet long and 14 tons, but it was a water-dwelling ambush predator. So I could see Pickle just walking by the riverbank only to get attacked and taken completely off guard. It all depends on if his danger instincts, which he warned him about Jack's ultimate fuck you, as they call it, move, are good enough to warn him of the Pteranodon before it strikes. One thing, while I see many discuss the megafauna like sauropods and V-Rexes, but not the small inhabitants of the island. Scavenging insects like scissor beetles, maggot flies, meat weevils, carrion centipedes that's 2 feet long, and toxic carrion beetles which can scare away animals 200,000 times its size. And that size is Pickle is not immune to chemicals. I doubt he would stay and endure that ordeal. As for water parasites, Pickle's dense muscle tissue would save him from smaller pests, but small isn't really a common adjective when describing Skull Island creatures. Disgusting words like Easter vermis and giant freeze-meaning tapeworms like Profanus. It's unclear if these things would be able to make their way through Pickle's tough hide or not, but if they can, then that's gonna be a real annoyance. Pickle will also have no surefire way of protecting himself against internal parasites like Cotriobestiola, and while Pickle's muscle is obscenely thick, his skin is still normal, so he would face a lot of discomfort from things like Cutsidex, the skin crab, which would burrow its way into his skin and anchor itself in place. He could maybe get it out with his just so strong fingers, but it would still be quite painful and annoying. Scorpiopedes might also serve as a good distraction, and their venomous sting could be annoying, especially with their large numbers, but probably not fatal for something as big as Pickle. So he could probably defend himself from them, and maybe even eat a few of them. Same goes for large schools of killer eels. Alone, they're no threat to Pickle, but in a swarm of like 100 individuals, they might cause him to panic because of just how many they are. And probably the most shit your pants terrifying creature on the island was Stickalithus, the 12-foot long dinosaur eating spider. This thing is actually so huge that it might as well see Pickle as actual prey. And even though it's horrible to look at, I have no doubt that Pickle will be able to kill and eat it if it ever attacks him. Down in the deep abyss of the fissures lived more nightmare fuel insectoids, like Weta Rex, a Weta cricket the size of a small dog that attacked in the dozens if not hundreds. Deplector, the huge land crab we see grab a guy as he tries to climb out of the chasm, and probably the most disgusting thing on Skull Island, the meat weasel Carnictus, basically just a huge leech-like tapeworm that had been evolved to hunt instead of being just a parasite. And while all of these creatures are horrors for regular people, I have no doubt that Pickle will be able to make it out of alive of the chasm, and just remember to avoid them in the future. Making his way out of the abyss, he reaches the last part of the island, the mountain range, Kong's domain. Scientifically known as Megaprimatus Kong, a gorilla over 7 meters tall and weighing anywhere between 8 to 12 tons, Kong was the last remaining member of his species. All who have seen the movie know that while Kong is outwardly aggressive and hostile to strangers, in reality he's a peaceful being. That doesn't change the fact that he's absurdly strong though. He can lift and even fucking throw full-grown V-Rexes with one arm, and also pry open their bone-crushing jaws with his bare hands. He's also so tough that his arms can get chomped down on by a V-Rex, and he will hurt, but the visible damage from it was minimal, and he could still run, no problem. Now, a lot of people mention how he was killed by fighter plane rounds, while Pickle is bulletproof, but that isn't really the case. Pickle is resistant to small handgun, but it still hurt, and it drew blood from him still. Compare that to several rounds of plane-mounted machine gun rounds, and it's a very big difference. Like, Pickle can be taken down by tranq darts fired from a tranq gun, and those darts still have to pierce his skin and muscle tissue to actually be able to inject the tranquilizers. Overall, I think Kong and Pickle should be like comparable in physical strength, but Pickle is definitely faster, as he can move faster than even trained fighters can see. But I honestly don't see them being enemies. Pickle prefers hunting dinosaurs, especially Tyrannosaurs, and Kong hates the V-Rexes, who are descendants of Tyrannosaurs. So I could very well see them just coexisting on different parts of the island. So overall, I think Pickle would absolutely flourish on Peter Jackson's Skull Island. There's honestly aren't many places I could see him fitting better, like in terms of fictional settings. But anyway, I don't want to drag this video out more than I already have, so thanks for watching and peace out.